guys, it's your 3.1 notes, and you guys are going to be graphing and translating inequalities. I'm so excited about this new way that we're going to try this chapter, but please remember that if you don't understand something, it's really important for you to raise your hand and just let me know that you're confused, and that's what I'm here for. I'll help guide you through it. So these are going to be your first section of notes, and then you're going to have a couple activities to do. I apologize up front. This section, our first section, has a lot of just vocab and writing, so not only is that bad for you, but you get to see my sloppy handwriting here. So I apologize for that up front, but I'll try my best. So we're going to get some vocab, and then we're going to learn how to graph inequalities on a number line, which you already know how to do, but just a refresher there. And then we're going to practice how to translate a verbal phrase into a mathematical phrase for inequalities. Okay, so let's jump into it. Get some vocabulary here for this inequality unit. So just a refresher, an equation, which is what we've already done this year. An equation is a mathematical statement when two expressions are, obviously, equal to each other. So an example would be x is equal to 2, or y is equal to 7. So that's the only option. X is 2. There's only one answer. Or y is 7. So equations are what we're used to. We can solve them, and it's just one answer. Inequalities, which is what this chapter is all about, are very different. So an inequality is a mathematical statement comparing two expressions that are not equal. That's what that sign means. Or you can do not equal. Okay? So let's just refresh ourselves on the four inequality symbols that we're used to. So let's start with this symbol, inequality symbol, which obviously means less than. So an example might be x is less than 2. So there are multiple answers there. X could be 1, x could be -7. So notice that it's different than an equation. Inequalities mean that it could be multiple things, anything that's less than 2. Okay? Another one like that would be greater than. Looks like that. So an example would be m is greater than 5. So m could be multiple things. It could be 11, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, anything that's bigger than 5. So when I ask you to graph these two symbols, you're going to see an open circle. Oh, I didn't even know I could do gray. Surprising. So we're going to have an open circle because x is not 2. It could never be 2. Or m could never be 5. So that's why you're going to put an open circle. It's not equal to 2 or 5. It's bigger or less than 5. So that's why we have an open circle. Okay? Let's move into the other ones. So the other one would be less than or equal to, which is what that is. So less than or equal to. I'm just going to put equal. So you might see something like this. Y is less than or equal to 11. So y could equal 11. That's an option here because we see this. But it could also be 5. It could also be -7. So multiple options again, so this is an inequality, but this time it could possibly equal 11. Okay, and then our fourth option is greater than or equal to. Told you there's a lot of writing here. So an example would be n is greater than or equal to 9. I'm going to put -9 since I haven't done any negatives. So n could be -9 since I see this, but it could also be 7. It could also be -1. So anything that's bigger than -9. So when we go to graph it, we're going to see a closed circle because that tells me that it could be 11 or -9, but it could also be bigger than that. Okay? So there's our vocab, got through that, few. And let's see some examples here. Actually, no, I'm sorry, no examples. You're going to see some examples when you do some of your activities. But let's practice our second objective, which is just translating these. So you might see them, in phrases here. And I want you to be able to write this as an actual inequality. So let's practice this. The restaurant can seat less than or equal to 172 people. So I have no idea how many people it can seat. So I'm going to put an X here because I don't know it. But I see this keyword. Oops, I didn't do all of it. Don't forget that. So less than or equal to. So I know my symbol for less than or equal to is X is less than or equal to. And then my number that they give me is 172. So the first thing I did is I found my keywords and I wrote the inequality. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go to your graph. This middle one is always going to be 0. The number, the positive number that you have should always go on this side of 0 because it's the positive side. And you're going to write that same number but as a negative to kind of show the difference here on this side of 0. So these are always your positives and these are always your negatives. So according to my key that we just did, if it's less than or equal to, since it could be 172, I'm going to do a closed circle because the restaurant could seat 172 people, so it could be equal to that. But it could seat less than that, okay, right? Because you might not always have 172 people in your restaurant. So if I could seat less than that, I need to show that I could seat less than that, okay? So closed circle, but you could also seat less than that, so everything on this side of the number is less than 172. All right, second one, Joe will earn more than 90% on his math test. So more than is my keyword. I don't know how much he's going to earn, but he could do more than 90%. Okay, so we're going to have a 0 here. Positives are always on this side of 0. Negatives are always on this side. So I need to graph this. So since he's can't get 90%, so we don't want him to get 90%. We want him to get more than 90%. So he has to get greater than 90%. So you're going to shade on that other side of 90. Okay? So this hopefully gave you a little taste of not only how to translate it, but also what graphing it is all about. Okay? So answer the questions that you're given after this and go on to do some of those activities to practice. All right?